It's an honor to be up here presenting with all these great artists and craftsmen and people doing amazing things. And I was a little surprised when JJ asked me to present because I was like, I don't make anything. But then I realized that listening to and documenting people's lives is a craft, and it's one that I've practiced for 18 years as a journalist. But that craft is disappearing. I'm always surprised by how many people are unaware that the newspaper industry is struggling. Digital ads don't pay the bills the way print ads used to, and people don't buy print newspapers anymore, so the newsrooms are getting smaller. My entire career has been about learning to survive in a struggling industry and learning the skills you need to adapt to that. I'm the only person in this photo that still works at a newspaper. Everyone else either got laid off, took a buyout, or changed careers. I always tell people if you don't love being a journalist, you should do anything else. The hours and the pay will almost certainly be better. Journalism will never love you back, but I love journalism. I love journalism because I love journalists. They're goofy and smart and passionate. They believe in what they do. They care about people. They see their job as a public service almost as much as an EMT or a firefighter, although they don't usually get the respect for it. A lot of people think of journalists maybe as someone they see on CNN or a famous New York Times reporter they follow on Twitter. But a majority of us work at small daily or weekly newspapers scattered all over the country. With York having 2 newspapers, they probably have more professional journalists per capita than any city this size. You guys are a little spoiled. We're telling local stories and doing our best to be truthful and accurate every day. Local journalists cover that county fair you go to every year. They've been going to it every year too, but they have to figure out a new way to tell a story or show a different angle on something they've covered a dozen times. It's a challenge, but it's also a part of the challenge I enjoy. Journalists also have to become experts on things quickly. They don't just have to learn about issues, they have to teach them to others. So one day you might be learning about water rights in Inyo County, California, and figuring out how to illustrate that. You know, it's pretty much the plot of Chinatown, so you think they'd have figured it out by now. But a few days later, you find yourself in the last operating underground coal mine in California, slogging through rock a half a mile underground while they're shooting off dynamite. And you don't tell your mom about it till after you get home, because it makes her nervous. Often when there's a mistake in a story, people claim bias, but most of the time it's just that like somebody's really tired and they want to go home for the night. They're just trying to like meet their friends for a drink, and maybe they finish the story too quickly and don't take time to double check a fact. I just try to tell that to people so they know. So how did I fall into this world? I've always loved writing, and I always thought that being a journalist seemed like a way to sort of get paid to do that. Then I took a photo class in high school, and that seemed like even more fun and less work than writing. So you move to where the jobs are when you work at a newspaper. I worked at a weekly paper in Iowa and as a staff photographer in Northern California, covering all those yearly events like downtown trick-or-treating. Journalism is like being a professional sports player on a certain level. Like if you don't work for the Cincinnati Reds, then you don't work in Cincinnati, unless you're in York where there's 2 newspapers and you can change papers. In 2003, I got a job as a photo editor at the Cincinnati Enquirer. It was really a dream position in a town that I'd lived in as a kid. But keeping a job in journalism is a combination of sheer luck and a willingness to adapt. And in December 2008, when the economy was terrible for so many people, I was laid off from my job. This is when I developed my pet tiger theory of journalism. Being a journalist is like owning a pet tiger. If you met someone with a pet tiger, you might think, that's cool, and want to hear all their cool stories about their pet tiger and how they feed it and play with it. But in the back of your mind, you're also thinking, that tiger is going to bite her arm off someday. You're just asking for it. Well, in 2008, I got my arm bitten off, but I still loved my pet tiger. So I spent 14 months unemployed trying to figure out what else I wanted to do. The economy was terrible for everyone at that time, so it made it even harder to find something. Options were kind of limited. That's when I started thinking about getting an MBA. I mean, it seemed like something I could do that would help me switch careers. I was very close to enrolling in an MBA program when I got a call about a visual editor job in York. I flew out to interview in February of 2010, right before a storm dropped 2 feet of snow on the town. And I still took the job. That's how much I love journalism. In the harsh journalism landscape I'd been dealing with, the York Daily Record was all rainbows and puppy dogs. Most everyone was happy and doing great work, and I got to take silly pictures like a rabbit who was disqualified for having one testicle at the York Fair. I also learned, it's true, it was sad. I also learned to do more video and more stuff on the web because that's where journalism is moving and you always have to be learning. Then, a little more than a year ago, Gannett bought the York Daily Record. They were the company that owned the Cincinnati Enquirer, the company that laid me off in 2008. But now they said things were different. It was like a bad ex-boyfriend coming back into town and being like, baby, I've changed, I'm a new man, take me back. So, I took him back because I didn't have much of a choice, but I kept my distance. So I wasn't surprised when we had our first round of Gannett layoffs last October. And this May, my job was eliminated and I was moved to another position at the paper. I wasn't entirely surprised by that either. I was the idiot who'd gotten bitten by my pet tiger once and went out and got another pet tiger. But this time I have a backup plan. I'm currently studying for my master's degree in data science and analytics. I know I can't count on journalism for my future, no matter how much I love it. At least now I feel like I have some options. After 18 years, I'm getting a little tired of the uncertainty of having a pet tiger. That doesn't mean I still don't love journalism. So if you love journalism and want to support it, get a subscription to your local paper. Lots of people pay for a New York Times subscription, but a local subscription supports your local journalists covering your town. I know the paper looks thinner and there's a smaller staff doing more work, but consider it a charitable donation, doing your part to keep your local paper in business. Strong local journalism is a passion of mine, but it needs a community to support it. Thanks.